What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is your boy Frankie Bones, and in today's video, gonna be hopping back into Yankee universe and talk about our early week series against the Orioles, a 4-game set which the Yankees end up splitting. Really disappointing as well. They end up taking the first two, but we'll talk about some key takeaways from this series. We'll talk what's up, Doc. Talking about some players on the mend and coming back, especially one that's coming back tonight in a big debut. And finally, we'll talk about who's on deck for the New York Yankees, who they have coming down the pipeline in their next few matchups. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like, and as well, don't forget to subscribe if you are new to make sure you don't miss out on any Yankees content in the future. So, as you always should, we'll start breaking down these games with game number 1. The Yankees end up taking this one by a score of 6-3. Domingo Germán is not perfect in this one, just an okay start from him, but it's ultimately the bullpen and Tommy Kahnle again who are dominant in this one, not allowing any runs after Germán, and the Yankees end up getting a comeback win in this one, tying it up, and then Harrison Bader with a 3-run shot to give them the 3-run lead. Moving on to game number 2, the Yankees as well end up taking this one by a score of 8-4, and it's another W for Clarke Schmidt, who again continues to not be great, but he continues to be consistent for this team and give them an opportunity to win the game when they're scoring runs. He goes 5, allows 3 with 7 Ks. The Yankees, they end up getting to Kyle Gibson, they get him for 4, and offensively a couple of guys that were producing, Gleyber Torres and Harrison Bader, both with 2 RBIs in this one. Moving on to game number 3, the Orioles take this one by a score of 6-3, and in this spot, the Yankees need a starter here again for Nestor Cortes and his spot in the rotation. They end up calling up Randy Vasquez, who again continues to show that he's a valuable piece for this team in spots where they've needed him as well in the past. He has a good start. He ends up going 5 innings, 0 earned runs, and really just gave this team an opportunity to win until the bullpen came in. Really uncharacteristic night from them. And overall, Nick Ramirez, he gave up 3 runs. He's been really good to this point as well. And some other guys towards the end of this game really struggling and sort of just allowed the Orioles to take this one with what seemed like a relative ease after they were able to get Vasquez out of the game. And the starter for the Orioles, Dean Kramer, goes strong 7 innings, only allowing 1 with 10 Ks. And finally, moving on to game number 4. Going to keep this one quick because there's not much to talk about. Orioles take this one 14-1. Luis Severino again, really terrible outing. We'll talk a little bit about him in the next segment and key takeaways, but 2 2/3, 10 hits, 7 runs. Abreu, not much better following Sevy, not even a full inning pitched, allowing 6. And the young Orioles prospect, Gunnar Henderson, with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs in this one to end up splitting the series. Moving on to our key takeaways, the first thing that I want to talk about is that it's time to sound the alarm on Luis Severino. Yes, he has had sprinkled in a handful of good starts, but most of them came at the beginning of the season once he returned off the injured list. Highlighting some of his numbers throughout the season so far: 7.38 ERA in just under 43 innings, 35 earned runs, which is insane. That's obviously why his ERA is so high. His whip is 1.80, and he's allowed 11 home runs. The long ball has really been an issue for him this season. His stuff really has not looked sharp. His slider has really not been great. And in his postgame after this game, talked about not having a great feel about any of his pitches right now. So it's time to figure it out. He said he feels fully healthy. His life on his fastball is back. His velo is up. And I don't know, just a lot of pitches over the middle. Outside of one good start recently, he's had 5 or 6 terrible ones similar to this, and something has to happen because we can't keep trotting him back out there looking in shape like this, just absolutely sacrificing one game a week. So time to sound it on Sevy, but I hope he gets back to form soon. The second key takeaway we'll talk about, Anthony Volpe. He continues his hot streak after his chicken parm. Over his last 30 games, his slash line 304, 368, 506. And that comes as well with 3 home runs, 5 RBIs, and 8 walks. And especially over the last 2 weeks or so, he's been incredibly hot. Over his last 15 days, he has a 1.149 OPS. Seeing the ball really well, hitting it well, doubles, spraying it all over the field, and utilizing right field as well. He was really pull heavy at the beginning of the year, but having the opportunity to hit to all fields and sort of handle these MLB pitches, I think is something that has improved his game and is really making an impact. Didn't like seeing him up at the 1 in the game yesterday, but ultimately, we'll talk about their next talking point, but a lot of other guys just aren't contributing right now, so I definitely get the idea of trying to mix up the lineup and sort of create something and make something happen. Our third key takeaway, we'll talk about DJ LeMahieu, Josh Donaldson, and Giancarlo Stanton. That trio is ice cold right now. Over their last 30 days, the last month, all these guys have been really, really bad. We'll start with DJ, his slash line 162, 247, 250. Talking about Josh Donaldson, 143, 222, 444. Slugging, a lot of that obviously coming from the home runs. Seems to be the only hits that he's been getting. And talking about Giancarlo, his slash, a 150, 236, 250. So all these numbers are just really not getting it done. Something needs to happen with these guys. These are guys that should be major contributors for this team. DJ, a guy a few seasons ago, hit almost he hit like 362. Josh Donaldson, again, still has that power. He's good defensively, but we need these bats to come alive. We need this lineup to be formidable. Our pitchers have been good. Our bullpen has been fantastic. We just need to score some runs and put our team in a position to be able to capitalize. And these couple guys just really haven't been able to do it. DJ overall has been really struggling. Josh Donaldson seems to only be getting these home runs when we're either losing the game big or when we're already winning. So it's pretty interesting. We'll have to see what can happen with these guys, but hopefully we can get a fix over the All-Star break and get right moving forward into the second half of the season. And finally, that leads me into our last key takeaway. The Yankees need this All-Star break badly. They need to get the rotation back into form. Luis Severino has to try and figure out whatever he has going on. Domingo Germán needs to become more consistent. Yes, he was perfect 2 starts ago, but his other starts have been far from perfection. Get some more time for Nestor Cortez, who we'll talk about a little bit in What's Up, Doc, in our next segment. We obviously have Rodon going today. We'll talk about him, but need to get the rotation back into shape. Bullpen needs to get a little bit of rest. Feel like they've been overworked a little bit and have really been carrying this team. And honestly, just a mental reset. This team has been through some tough times over the past month and a half. Obviously, Aaron Judge, their captain, being out is a big factor as well. But really just need to reset, refocus, and be dialed in heading in for the second half, because don't want to say this team's in trouble right now, but it's an incredibly strong division, and the American League has been great overall. So the division may be out of reach, but it's really going to be important to get a high wild card seed as well, if that ultimately is the route that the Yankees will have to take. We'll move on here now to What's Up, Doc. Talk about some of our guys on the injured list. Kicking things off with some incredibly exciting news. Carlos Rodon, he will be on the bump, towing the slab in the boogie down tonight for the Yankees, making his debut for the team in pinstripes against the Chicago Cubs. Incredibly excited for that. His stuff has looked really good in his minor league rehab starts. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get to any of them, but his stuff has looked really good. He will obviously be on a pitch count, so excited to see what he can do in his debut and hopefully be a great spark for this team leading into the All-Star break and beyond into the second half. Another pretty positive update here. Everything pretty positive today on What's Up, Doc. We'll talk about Aaron Judge. He has continued to be long tossing, which is obviously good. There's nothing to do with his arm, so that isn't something that is super progressive, but obviously if his lower half is feeling good. We also got reports that he has been hitting in the cage, both off a tee and some overhand toss, which is really good. That he feels comfortable enough to be swinging the bat and sort of pivoting on that foot. If he continues to feel well, his next steps, and he may have already done so, is running on a gravity machine. So this ultimately is something that helps reduce the weight that's being put on the lower half of your body. Pretty common for knee injuries, ankle injuries, things like that, in order to rehab back into shape. Obviously, that's a lot of weight to hold up. That's a pretty big man in Aaron Judge, but definitely some good progress here. Again, no timeline, still pretty far away, as these are all pretty basic and entry-level baseball activities. So hopefully we continue to get positive updates like this, moving in the right direction, and with some time off after the break, during the break, able to get some really good treatment, and hopefully have a timeline here for the end of the season and give the Yankees an opportunity to make a run. And finally, we'll talk about Nasty Nestor Cortez. He threw a bullpen yesterday. If everything is all good, he will end up throwing another live session on Sunday in New York, which I think would be, really promising. He's now thrown, I think that was his second bullpen, or his second or third. Again, didn't really get too many bits of information here about how many pitches, anything like that, but a live session would be really good. Means that he's gearing up, maybe a couple of weeks away, as long as he continues to progress without any setbacks. So looking forward to getting Nestor back. He really didn't look right at the beginning of the season, so hopefully if we can get him healthy, another really dynamic arm for this Yankees rotation. For our final segment, we will talk about who's on deck for this New York Yankees squad, talking about the schedule looking ahead. So in the immediate, starting tonight, the Yankees will be hosting the Chicago Cubs for 3 games. I believe that we have Rodon, and then we have Garrett, and then Domingo, I think, is how it's going to go down. So definitely an opportunity to take the sweep. The Cubs really are not that great of a team. A sweep, I think, would be incredibly important for this team moving into the break after dropping some tough ones to the Orioles and over the past few weeks. So that would be on my radar as for the Yankees to really look to take control of this series early, starting tonight, if they can, and be able to go on to the All-Star break on a positive note. Like I was sort of mentioning, the All-Star break starts on Monday with festivities. Monday, Tuesday will be the All-Star game. I believe that Garrett Cole is the only Yankee who's going to be going out. Obviously, Aaron Judge will not be playing in the game, so he'll be back getting treatment. And that break will run through Thursday. Games resume on Friday. The Yankees will stay out sort of on the West Coast. They will take on the Colorado Rockies for a 3-game set. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see any Aaron Judge absolute nukes, but maybe we'll see some from Stanton and the guys. And following that, the Yankees will remain out on the West Coast. We'll travel back west to LA. We'll take on the Angels for 3. And, these are 2 pretty winnable series, I think, for the Yankees. The Angels have been playing better, but Rockies not great. Angels a little bit better. Definitely a fringe playoff team this year, and Chicago Cubs definitely winnable. So a lot of winnable games for the Yankees here with a nice break in between, be able to get healthy, reset, and pretty excited for the next couple of weeks, although a pretty disappointing end to this Orioles series. But that's going to do it for me in this video, guys. Let me know down in the comments what some of your biggest takeaways are, how excited you are for the Rodon start later tonight, and ultimately how this Yankees team is positioned just before the All-Star break. But for now, that's going to do it for me, guys. This has been your boy Frankie Bones, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Peace out.